Look, I need to tell you something about humans. Something the Galactic Council never put in their precious little handbooks. Something that made every civilized species in 7 sectors rethink everything they thought they knew about negotiation, diplomacy, and survival. My name is Vorn. Yes, just Vorn. We Kelthari do not bother with family names because frankly we live for 600 years, and genealogy gets complicated. I served as the diplomatic liaison for Sector 9, which meant I had the extraordinary pleasure of watching the galaxy lose its collective mind when humanity joined the Council. That was 12 years ago. 12 years of headaches, confusion, and an ever-growing file labeled human incidents that now occupied 3 data cores. But this story, this one takes the prize. It started on a Tuesday. Well, by Earth's calendar anyway. The rest of us use star dates, but humans insist on dragging their quaint little week cycle everywhere they go. Captain Marcus Webb of the human vessel Defiant was hauling medical supplies to the colony on Praxis 4. Routine stuff. Boring. The kind of mission that generates paperwork, not headlines. Webb was, by all accounts, a decent officer. 42 years old, graying at the temples. 3 kids back on Earth.
He had flown cargo runs for 20 years without incident.
The Defiant was a small ship, crew of 8, all civilians, no weapons beyond the standard plasma torch for asteroid clearing. You know, the kind of vessel that practically screams, not a threat to anyone with functioning sensor arrays. The pirates did not care. They came out of nowhere, which is impossible. Except they did it anyway. 6 ships, all armed to their metaphorical teeth, broadcasting on every frequency that they were the Red Claw Syndicate. Oh great. The Red Claw. The same bunch of murderous thugs who had already slaughtered 3 colony populations in the past 2 months. 17,000 beings. Men, women, children. They did not discriminate. They took what they wanted and killed everyone who witnessed it. The galaxy was terrified of them. Every government, every fleet, every supposedly powerful military organization was scrambling to find these monsters, and here they were, targeting a medical supply ship. Captain Webb did what any reasonable person would do. He opened a channel. His voice was calm, measured, professional. This is Captain Marcus Webb of the Earth vessel Defiant. We are a civilian transport carrying medical supplies. We are unarmed. Please state your intentions. The response came fast.
Too fast.
A gravelly voice filtered through a voice modulator, responded with something between a laugh and a growl. Defiant, this is Commander Grask of the Red Claw. You will surrender your ship, your cargo, and your crew. Comply immediately, or we will destroy you. You have 60 seconds. Standard pirate procedure. Really. Terrify the victim. Take everything. Kill the witnesses. The galaxy had seen it 1,000 times. Most ships surrendered. Some tried to run. None survived. Webb's response was unexpected. Negative. Red Claw. We do not negotiate with murderers. Defiant out. And he cut the channel. I was monitoring the sector communications from my station on Council Prime when the recording came through. So I played it 3 times because I thought there was a translation error. No species, no captain, no being with half a brain would just refuse to negotiate with pirates holding all the cards. It was suicide. It was insane. It was very, very human. The Red Claw did not take it well. Ross came back on the channel, and you could hear the disbelief in his synthesized voice. Defiant, did you just refuse to surrender? Webb's reply was cheerful.
Cheerful.
As if he was discussing the weather over morning coffee. That is correct, Red Claw. As I said, we do not negotiate with murderers. However, I will give you one chance. Power down your weapons, transmit your location to the nearest council patrol, and surrender immediately. You will be treated according to galactic law. The silence that followed could have swallowed a star. Then Grask laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. You are offering me terms. You are unarmed. You are outnumbered 6 to 1. Your shields cannot withstand our first volley. You are already dead, human. You just do not know it yet. Webb sighed. Actually sighed. Like Grask had just disappointed him somehow. I gave you a chance. Remember that. And then the Defiant did something that made every monitoring station in the sector sit up and pay attention. It accelerated, directly toward the pirate formation. Now I know what you are thinking. Ramming maneuver, right? Classic last-ditch effort. Go out in a blaze of glory. Except the Defiant was not trying to ram anyone. It was flying evasively, dodging plasma fire with maneuvers that should have torn the ship apart. The inertial dampeners on cargo vessels are not designed for combat flying. The crew should have been paced on the bulkheads. But humans, as I was learning, are very, very good at not dying when they should. Council Prime, this is Monitor Station 7. A panicked voice crackled over my console. We have a situation in Sector 9. Human vessel is engaging 6 Red Claw warships, requesting immediate support. I grabbed my communicator so fast I nearly threw it across the room. Monitor 7, confirm. Did you say engaging? Affirmative, Council Prime. The human ship is, I do not even know how to describe this. They are using their cargo containers as projectiles. They are dumping medical supplies into space and using the plasma torch to ignite the oxygen canisters. They have created an improvised minefield. I stared at my screen, at the tactical display showing one tiny dot weaving between 6 larger ones, at the expanding clouds of debris and frozen atmosphere, at the sheer audacity of what I was witnessing. One of the pirate ships, too eager, too confident, flew straight into a cloud of exploding medical containers. The ship's shields flickered, then failed. The plasma torch, designed for cutting asteroids, carved through the unprotected hull like it was paper. The Red Claw ship detonated. 5 left. Grask was screaming now. All pretense of control was gone. Kill them now. But the Defiant was still moving, still dodging, still fighting with literally anything it had. Captain Webb had opened the cargo bay doors and was venting containers into space, creating a chaotic maze of obstacles that the pirates had to navigate while trying to hit a target that refused to sit still. Another pirate ship, trying to flank the Defiant, collided with a container of high-density surgical steel. At the speeds they were traveling, it might as well have been a missile. The ship spun out of control, its engines dead. 4 left. This is impossible. My assistant, a young Threxian named Kip, whispered beside me. They are civilians. They are cargo haulers. This should not be happening. But it was happening. And I was beginning to understand something that would fundamentally change how I viewed humanity. They do not negotiate with murderers. It was not bravado. It was not foolishness. It was a line in the sand, drawn in blood and desperation and absolute conviction. The Red Claw had killed 17,000 innocents. They had murdered children. They had laughed while doing it. And humanity had decided, collectively, universally, that there would be no deals, no compromises, no surrenders. You could kill them, sure, but they would make you pay for every inch. The battle, if you could call it that, lasted 18 minutes. 18 minutes of the most insane flying I have ever witnessed. The Defiant lost its starboard engine at minute 12. Its shields failed at minute 15. By minute 17, the ship was venting atmosphere from 3 different hull breaches. But when the dust settled, when the debris field finally stopped expanding, there are 3 Red Claw ships left. 3 out of 6. And they were running. Actually running from a crippled cargo vessel, held together by emergency force fields and human stubbornness. Captain Webb broadcast one final message before his communications array died. His voice was strained, breathing labored, but the words were clear. Red Claw Syndicate, you have failed. The galaxy knows where you are now. Every fleet in 7 sectors is coming for you. There is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You chose to be murderers. Now you will face justice. The transmission ended. The Defiant went dark. I immediately dispatched emergency rescue ships. The nearest council patrol was 40 minutes away. The nearest medical frigate was an hour. Too long. Way too long for a crew venting atmosphere in a dead ship. But then something else appeared on the sensors. Multiple ships, lots of them, all broadcasting human identification codes. They came from everywhere. Hualf, freighters, passenger liners, survey vessels, even a couple of old military ships that had been decommissioned and sold to civilian owners. 37 human ships altered course and converged on the Defiant's location. Huao, Fursek, Huao. They formed a protective sphere around the crippled vessel and began coordinated rescue operations. No one told them to come. No distress call had gone out. They just knew. Somehow they all knew that one of their own was in trouble. And they came running. The human captain of the first ship to reach the Defiant was a woman named Captain Yuki Tanaka. Her voice when she broadcast to the gathering fleet was cold enough to freeze helium. All human vessels, this is Tanaka. We have 8 souls aboard Defiant, all alive, all stable. The Red Claw got away, but they left a trail a blind Threxian could follow. Who wants to help me finish this? 37 voices answered in unison. Affirmative. And they did. Oh, they did. The Red Claw Syndicate had survived for 3 years by being smart, being ruthless, and always staying one step ahead. They had evaded council patrols, military task forces, and bounty hunters. They were ghosts. But humans do not hunt like we do. We set up perimeters. We use logic. We try to predict movement patterns. Humans just ask everyone they know if they have seen anything weird. Within 6 hours, the human merchant network had pieced together the Red Claw's location from cargo manifests, fuel purchases, and sensor logs that nobody thought were important. The pirates had holed up in an abandoned mining station in the Keltar Belt, remote, isolated, perfect for hiding. The humans found them anyway. I watched the tactical feeds from Council Prime, watched as 37 civilian ships backed by 3 human military destroyers that arrived just in time, surrounded the station. There was no fancy speech, no demand for surrender, no negotiation. Captain Tanaka simply broadcast 6 words: Red Claw Syndicate, your time is up. Then the humans opened fire. The battle lasted 4 minutes. The Red Claw fought desperately, but they were facing an enemy they did not understand, an enemy that had decided long before this fight that some lines cannot be crossed, that some crimes cannot be forgiven, that some people do not deserve mercy. When it was over, when the last pirate ship had been disabled and boarded, the humans found Grask in his command center. He was wounded, bleeding from a dozen places, but alive. He looked up at the boarding team and actually smiled. Smiled, like he thought he had won somehow. "You will take me prisoner," he rasped. "Put me on trial, follow your precious laws. I will be in a council detention center with 3 meals a day while my brothers continue our work." The human leading the boarding team, a sergeant named Marcus Lee, no relation to Captain Webb, stared down at Grask for a long moment. Then he activated his communicator. "Captain Tanaka, this is boarding team Alpha. We have the target. He is alive and in custody." "Acknowledged, Sergeant."
"By the book."
"We are not like them." "Yes, ma'am." Grask actually looked disappointed. They dragged him back to Council Prime, put him in the most secure cell in galactic space. His trial lasted 3 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. The witnesses were numerous. The verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all counts. The sentence was life imprisonment on a council penal world. No chance of parole. No chance of escape. He would spend the rest of his very long life locked in a cell, thinking about the 17,000 beings he had murdered. But here is the thing that shocked the galaxy, or the thing that made every species rethink their assumptions about humanity. Or when Grask was transferred to the prison transport, when the human guards handed him over to council security, Captain Webb was there, still recovering from his injuries, still limping from the battle. He stood in front of Grask's cell and said one sentence: "We do not negotiate with murderers, but we will give you justice. That is the difference between us and you." Then he walked away. The galaxy watched, the galaxy learned, and the galaxy understood. Humans do not negotiate with murderers. They hunt them down, they bring them to justice, and they do it all without becoming monsters themselves. The Red Claw Syndicate was finished. Every member, every ship, every safe house was hunted down over the next 6 months. Humanity mobilized its entire merchant fleet, turned every civilian into an intelligence asset, and methodically dismantled an organization that had terrorized the galaxy for years. And they did it all without firing a shot, unless fired upon first, without torturing prisoners, without becoming the very thing they were fighting. That is when I realized the truth, the terrifying, awe-inspiring truth about humanity. They are not the strongest species, not the smartest, not the most advanced, but they are absolutely the most stubborn, the most principled, the most willing to die rather than compromise their values. And heaven help you if you test them. The story does not end there, though. Oh no. Because 6 months after Grask's imprisonment, something happened that would change everything again. Something that would show the galaxy just how far humans would go to defend their principles. But that, my friends, is a story for another time. 6 months. That is all it took for the galaxy to learn that humanity's principles were not just words. They were law. They were religion. They were the foundation of everything these strange primates believed in, and someone was about to test them in the worst way possible. His name was Theron Vex, a Calrosian warlord who controlled half the Outer Rim territories through intimidation, bribery, and strategic alliances. He was rich, he was powerful, and he was smart enough to never cross a line that would unite the council against him. Until he decided to kidnap Ambassador Rachel Torres.
Yes, I know I said I would not use that name, but this is a different Torres.
Rachel Torres was humanity's chief ambassador to the Galactic Council. 58 years old, grandmother of 6, career diplomat who had spent 30 years building bridges between species. She was beloved, not just by humans but by everyone who had ever worked with her. She was also precisely the kind of target that a man like Vex would choose. The kidnapping happened during a diplomatic reception on Nexus Station. One moment she was discussing trade agreements with the Praxian delegate. The next moment, the lights went out. When they came back on, Ambassador Torres was gone. In her place was a holographic message from Vex himself. He was a tall being, even by Calrosian standards. His scales were deep purple, a sign of wealth and status among his people. He wore ornate armor that probably cost more than most ships, and he smiled like he had just won the universe's biggest prize. "Greetings, Galactic Council," he said, his voice smooth as poisoned honey. "I apologize for the dramatic entrance, but I required your attention. I have taken Ambassador Torres into my custody. She is alive, comfortable, and will remain so as long as you meet my demands." I was in the council chamber when the message played. Every delegate, every ambassador, every representative from 700 species watched in stunned silence. Vex continued, "My demands are simple. First, the council will withdraw all sanctions against my territories. Second, you will grant me full voting rights on the council. Third, you will transfer 50 million credits to my accounts.
You have 72 hours.
If you refuse, the ambassador will be executed. If you attempt a rescue, she will be executed. If you do anything other than meet my demands, she will be executed. I trust I have made myself clear." The hologram flickered off. The chamber erupted. 700 voices screaming at once, demanding action, demanding answers, demanding that someone do something. The human delegation sat in silence. I watched them carefully. There were 5 human representatives present. Vice Ambassador David Park, Military Liaison Colonel Jennifer Hayes, Trade Minister Alexander Okonkwo, Cultural Attaché Maria Santos, and most importantly, Admiral James Cortez of the Earth Defense Fleet. They did not move, did not speak. They just sat there with expressions that made my blood run cold. Finally, the council president, a Velothian named Kresh, called for order. His voice boomed through the chamber. "We must discuss our options. The ambassador's life hangs in the balance. We have 72 hours to respond." Vice Ambassador Park stood slowly. The chamber fell silent. Everyone wanted to hear what humanity would say. Park walked to the center floor. His voice was calm.
Too calm.
"Honored delegates, I want to make humanity's position absolutely clear. We do not negotiate with murderers. We do not negotiate with terrorists. We do not negotiate with terrorists. We do not negotiate with kidnappers. This policy has no exceptions, no loopholes, no special circumstances." A Threxian delegate jumped to his feet.
Are you saying you will let her die?
"Your own ambassador?" Park turned to face him. "I am saying that we will not reward Theron Vex for committing a crime. I am saying that paying his ransom will only encourage more kidnappings. I am saying that there are principles worth dying for, and Ambassador Torres knows this better than anyone. This is madness." Another delegate shouted. "She is one person, one life. Surely that is worth more than your pride." Admiral Cortez stood. Unlike Park, there was nothing calm about him.
He radiated controlled fury. "You think this is about pride? You think we do not value her life?"
Ambassador Torres has 6 grandchildren back on Earth. She has a husband of 40 years. She has friends, colleagues, people who love her. Do you think we want her to die? He paused, letting the question hang in the air. But if we pay, if we negotiate, if we give Vex what he wants, then every human diplomat, every human citizen, every human child becomes a target. Because the galaxy will know that we can be threatened, that we can be intimidated, that we will compromise our principles to save one life. Cortez's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Ambassador Torres would never forgive us if we paid. She would spend the rest of her life knowing that her rescue made every other human less safe. So no. Wise. We will not negotiate. We will not pay. We will bring her home. Or we will bring Vex to justice. But we will not reward him for being a monster. The chamber exploded again. Half the delegates were shouting support. The other half were screaming that humanity was condemning their own ambassador to death. I sat at my station, reviewing intelligence reports, and I realized something. The humans were not debating whether to rescue Torres. They were already planning how. Within 6 hours, human intelligence networks across the galaxy were activated. Every merchant ship, every freight hauler, every human who had ever passed through Vex's territories was contacted. They were asking questions, gathering information, building a picture of Vex's operation from 1,000 tiny pieces. Within 12 hours, they had narrowed down Torres' location to 3 possible sites. Within 24 hours, they had it down to 1, a fortress on Calros Prime, Vex's homeworld, the most heavily defended location in his entire territory, surrounded by shield generators, automated defense platforms, and an army of loyal soldiers. Impossible to assault, impossible to infiltrate, impossible to breach, impossible to breach. The humans did not care. Admiral Cortez assembled a task force, 3 destroyers, 2 frigates, 1 stealth ship, and a strike team of 40 special operations soldiers.
Oh, they called it Operation Bright Star.
The name, I later learned, came from Torres's call sign when she had served in Earth's diplomatic corps during the expansion wars. The plan was insane, suicidal, beautiful in its simplicity. They were going to ask permission to land. I know, I had the same reaction. But here is the thing about humans. They are terrifyingly good at reading people, at understanding psychology, at knowing exactly which buttons to push. Cortez sent a message directly to Vex, not through official channels, not through intermediaries, ship to ship, Admiral to warlord. Saron Vex, this is Admiral James Cortez of the Earth Defense Fleet. I am requesting permission to land on Calros Prime. I wish to discuss Ambassador Torres' release, face to face, leader to leader. I am willing to come alone, unarmed, under flag of truce. You have my word as an officer and as a human that I will attempt no violence unless attacked first. I will arrive in 48 hours. You may accept or refuse. The choice is yours. The galaxy held its breath. Vex accepted. Of course he accepted. The man was a narcissist of the highest order. The thought of an Earth Admiral coming to him, alone, asking for terms, was too delicious to resist. He saw it as surrender, as acknowledgement of his power, as proof that even the mighty humans could be brought to heel. He was wrong. Admiral Cortez arrived exactly on schedule. His shuttle landed in Vex's fortress courtyard. He stepped out wearing his dress uniform. No weapons, no armor, just the insignia of his rank and the flag of Earth on his shoulder. Vex met him personally, surrounded by guards, or flanked by advisors, standing in his throne room like some ancient king receiving tribute. Admiral Cortez, Vex purred. I am pleased you have come to your senses. I assume you are here to discuss payment arrangements. Cortez smiled. It was not a nice smile. Actually, I am here to place you under arrest for kidnapping, extortion, and violation of council law. You will surrender Ambassador Torres immediately, disarm your forces, and submit to council authority. You have 60 seconds to comply. The throne room went silent. Cortex stared at Cortez like he had grown a second head. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. You are alone, Admiral, unarmed, in the center of my fortress, surrounded by 500 of my best soldiers, and you are threatening me. Cortez checked his watch. 50 seconds. I could kill you where you stand. 40 seconds. And yes, you could, Abder, but then you would die, along with everyone in this fortress, along with every installation you control, along with every ship in your fleet. Vex's smile faded. You are bluffing. 30 seconds. You know humans do not bluff. Not about this. Not ever. And that is when Vex made his fatal mistake. He looked up, through the transparent ceiling of his throne room, at the sky above his fortress, where 6 human warships had just dropped out of stealth. They had been there the whole time, parked in geosynchronous orbit directly above the fortress, their weapons charged, their targeting systems locked, waiting for one word from Cortez. The Admiral's voice was ice. 20 seconds. Every weapon system you have is already targeted. Every shield generator has a missile assigned to it. Every escape route is blocked. You have one chance to survive this. Release Ambassador Torres, surrender, face justice. Vex's scales had gone pale. His advisors were backing away. His guards looked ready to bolt. 10 seconds. This is an act of war, Vex hissed. No. This is an arrest. War is what happens if you refuse. 5 seconds. Vex broke. He signaled his guards. Bring the ambassador. They brought Torres out. She looked tired but unharmed. When she saw Cortez, she smiled. James, I told you not to negotiate. I did not, ma'am. I made a demand. There is a difference. She laughed. Actually laughed. Even after 3 days of captivity, even standing in a warlord's fortress, she laughed. Of course you did. Shall we go home? Oh, you did. Shall we go home? In a moment, ma'am. I have paperwork to finish. Cortez turned back to Vex. Theron Vex, you are under arrest. You will be transported to Council Prime to stand trial. You will be treated according to galactic law. You will receive a fair trial. And when you are found guilty, you will spend the rest of your life regretting the day you decided to test humanity's resolve. The arrest was peaceful. Vex's forces did not fight. They could not fight. The human fleet had them dead to rights and everyone knew it. Vex was taken into custody, loaded onto a council transport and shipped off to prison. Ambassador Torres returned to Earth to a hero's welcome. She retired 6 months later, citing a desire to spend more time with her grandchildren. But before she left, she gave one final speech to the Galactic Council. I was there. I recorded every word. Honored delegates, she began. I have served in the diplomatic corps for 30 years. I have negotiated treaties, resolved conflicts and built friendships across the stars. But the most important lesson I have learned is this. Principles matter. Not because they are easy. Not because they are easy. Not because they are convenient, but because without them, we are nothing. She paused, looking around the chamber. Theron Vex believed he could threaten humanity. He believed we would compromise our values to save one life.
He was wrong.
Or not because we do not value life. We do. Every single life matters. But we also understand that some things matter more. Freedom matters. Justice matters. The knowledge that evil will be punished matters. When you negotiate with monsters, you teach them that being a monster works. You teach them that threats are effective. You teach them that violence pays, and you guarantee that more innocents will suffer in the future. She smiled. That same warm smile that had charmed diplomats from 700 species. Humanity will never negotiate with murderers. We will never pay ransoms to terrorists. We will never compromise our principles, no matter the cost. Not because we are stubborn, not because we are foolish, but because we believe, deeply and truly, that some lines cannot be crossed. And if you ever doubt us, if you ever think we are bluffing, remember this. We will come for you. We will find you. And we will bring you to justice. Not because we are cruel, but because we are human, and we do not negotiate with monsters. The chamber was silent when she finished. 700 species, 700 ambassadors, 700 different perspectives on morality and justice. And every single one of them understood. The galaxy learned 3 lessons that day. First, humans mean what they say, always, every time, without exception. Second, threatening a human will not make them negotiate, it will make them hunt you. Third, and most importantly, there are things worth dying for. Principles, values, the knowledge that you stood for something bigger than yourself. Theron Vex was convicted on all charges. He is currently serving 15 consecutive life sentences on a council penal world.
He will die in that cell.
Alone, forgotten. A cautionary tale for anyone who thinks they can threaten humanity. The Red Claw Syndicate is extinct. Every member captured or killed, their organization dismantled. Their legacy nothing but a warning in history books. And humanity continues to be humanity. Stubborn. Principled. Absolutely terrifying when you cross the wrong line. I still serve as diplomatic liaison for Sector 9. I still deal with human incidents on a regular basis. But I no longer call them incidents. I call them lessons. Because every time humanity does something impossible, every time they refuse to compromise, every time they stand on principle even when it costs them everything, the galaxy learns something new. We learn that courage is not the absence of fear. It is doing what is right despite the fear. We learn that justice is not about revenge. It is about ensuring that evil has consequences. We learn that some species, some beings, some civilizations are willing to pay any price to defend what they believe in. And we learn to be very, very careful about testing them. Because the galaxy warned everyone. Humans do not negotiate with murderers. And heaven help you if you forget it.